Remember a collision a few weeks back when we said, boy, the show was going good, and then there was about 30 or 40 uninterrupted minutes of the Bullet Club Gold, and by the end of it, everybody had zoned out?
Yeah, I remember that vividly.
Did you feel like you got a flashback on Saturday night?
You know what? Watching this, maybe a little bit, but I also think maybe Juice Robinson felt that way too. It looked like he was trying to go for the mic a few times before Jay White was ready to give it up.
Juice is trying to save this whole thing.
And he's doing a good job. You can't take your eyes off him. You listen to him. He's great.
Here, the next match, the first legitimate match, was Jay White with the rest of the Bullet Club Gold, who is Juice and the Gun Boys, against Dalton Castle with the Boys. And Dalton Castle was really over in Ring of Honor, I guess, about 5 or 6 years ago. I didn't see a lot of it. Heard a lot about him. The Boys, the gimmick. Is it Adrian Street updated? Not really. There's elements, but it's flamboyant. It's over the top. If this was different in AEW, it might work because it was different in Ring of Honor at the time that it worked. But half the roster in this company looks like a fucking clown show. It looks like the goddamn Volkswagen pulled up outside Ringling Brothers' fucking summer training headquarters or winter quarters down in Florida, and a bunch of clowns jumped out. If half the roster is a parody of wrestling, especially on Wednesday nights, then Dalton Castle and the Boys and the peacock feathers and the whole 9 yards just adds to the cartoon atmosphere rather than setting him apart from the rest of the group and making him an attention getter because he's so much more flamboyant than everyone else. To me, that's the assessment. In the right context, the gimmick works, but here everybody is fucking over the top. So how can there be a top to go over, is my question. What'd you think of his gimmick?
I've seen him before. I know he has talent. To me, the best part is the entrance. That's the part I get a kick out of the most. That's the part I enjoy the most. Wasn't crazy about his promo earlier in the show. That may have been the first promo I've heard him do ever. And I thought the match was okay.
Yeah. And I mean, he's a good wrestler, and he's had back problems. He's strong. He's got an amateur background. He can do deadlift throws. That's probably why he's got back problems. But the match was okay, and then finally, Jay White hit some kind of suplex over on top of his head, didn't cover him, pulled him up, his limp body and his arms so that he could hit his finish on him, and then beat him 1, 2, 3. So another modern, flat as fuck fucking finish. And when he hit his finish, it was sloppy. It was a long match. But then they go, I think they went to a break, and then they came back and did an in-ring promo with the Bullet Club Gold. And this again, same thing that happened last time. Jay White did a long promo, wandering around the ring, talking about Twinkle Toes, talking about all their various issues, while he was in the back of everybody, wandering around talking to the people in the arena, while the floor camera in the ring, the handheld, was on Tony Schiavone, who was supposed to be doing the interview, and the Gun Boys and Juice, and the Gun Boys are doing distracting shit to take away from the stuff that Jay White is saying when Jay White's not that interesting saying it to begin with. And at one point, one of the Guns was trying to stick Tony's finger up his own nose. And this went on. And I know somebody's going to point and say, well, the Midnight Express, Bobby and Dennis, or Bobby and Stan, when you were cutting the promos at the TBS studios with Tony, they were smiling or looking at the fans in the front row or rubbing their title belts or whatever. Well, they weren't trying to stick the announcer's finger up his fucking nose while I was talking. Because that would have been distracting. And I was talking about shit that would get them over. So they didn't do that. And Tony was making funny faces. Like he was suffering these children and he was grossed out by the idea of his finger going in his nose or whatever the fuck. I don't know. He's working along with them. They're all childish. Juice jumps in and you instantly want to listen to him. He's got the voice and he's got the face and the way he says things. You instantly wanted to listen to him, and he was very brief and then jumped back out of it. And then whether it's Jay White or whether it's the Gun, but the Guns are okay, and I like their work, and they've got tons of pep and enthusiasm. But this was Jay White keeps trying to do the long promos, and he shouldn't. And it just it didn't go anywhere particularly. And then suddenly, when we thought that was the end of it, out come the opponents, because now they're going to have another match with the 3 Bullet Club Gold members we didn't see wrestle against 3 guys that we hope we never fucking see again. And regret that we were witness to the first time. Your thoughts on the promo, anything before I go to the match?
It went long, and I thought maybe Jay White got lost, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's just his style of wandering around the ring while he does the promo. Couldn't wait for Juice to talk. And like I said earlier, it looked like he couldn't wait either. He was trying to get that mic before they were ready to give it to him. They should have just given it to him. Because you know what the other thing is? The way he talks, the way he acts, he hasn't done too much of anything yet. Jay White, I've heard too much of now.
Yeah.
Juice Robinson, it's a little bit and he's out.
We've seen Jay wrestle enough now. We've seen or heard Jay talk enough now. We haven't seen Juice wrestle enough, and we haven't heard Juice talk enough. And I think he ought to be he shouldn't be the leader because he's Bluto Blutarski. He's a fucking weird fucking second banana guy, but he needs more focus on him because he's going to steal the fucking show when they do.